I'm Rainbow Sparkle and I'm reading The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton. This is Chapter 28, The Little Lost Island. "Wouldn't you like to wish?" said Moonface, turning to the old saucepanman, who was just about to bite into his cake. "Fish?" said the saucepanman in delight. "Oh yes, I love to fish. I wish we were all fishing for fine fat fishes in the middle of the sea somewhere." Well, what a wish to make, just as he was eating wishing cake. Of course, Saucepan didn't know it was a wishing cake, for he hadn't heard Moonface properly. Anyway, the wish immediately came true. A wind blew down and lifted up the whole crowd of guests at the table. Sitting on their chairs, clinging tightly, they flew through the air for miles. Nobody fell off. Everybody looked astonished and scared, whatever was happening. Down flew the chairs in the big wind. A shower of salt spray drenched everyone. Joe gasped and looked down. Bump! He and everyone else landed on soft sand and rolled off their chairs, sat up blinking in surprise. The long-bearded brownies looked frightened. Moonface kept opening and shutting his mouth like a fish. He was so astonished. Joe was cross, and so was the angry pixie. "Now, what's happened?" said Dame Washalot in an annoyed voice. "Why have we come here?" "Look at all those fishing rods," said Silkie, pointing to a whole row of rods standing in the sand with their lines in the water. "Waiting for us," groaned Moonface. "Silly old saucepan didn't hear what I was saying about wishing. I said fishing, so he wished us all here, fishing in the sea." "Oh goodness," said Bessie, alarmed. "Where are we then?" "I think we're on the little lost island," said Silkie, looking round. "It's a funny little place, always floating about and getting lost, but there's always good fishing to be had from it." "Fishing?" said Joe in disgust. "Who wants to go fishing in the middle of a birthday party?" "Let's go back at once." "Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong," said Silkie's clock, walking about on the edge of the sea, getting his feet wet in the waves. "Come back, clock," called Silkie. "You know that you can't swim." The clock came back and wiped his feet on the grass that grew around. Bessie thought it was remarkable. Very sensible clock. She wished she had one like it. "I say, we really must do something about getting back to the land of birthdays," said Joe, getting up and looking around the little island. "What can we do? Is there a boat here?" There was nothing except the fishing rods. Nobody took up even one of those, for they didn't feel like fishing. The little lost island was a hilly stretch of green grass and nothing else whatsoever. "I really don't know what to do," said Moonface, frowning. "Do you, Mr. Whiskers?" Mr. Whiskers was dressed up like Santa Claus and looked very fine indeed with his long beard. He rubbed his nose thoughtfully and shook his head. "The difficulty is," he said, "that none of us have any magic with us, because we're all in fancy dress and our clothes are in the land of the birthdays, so the spells and magic we keep in our pockets are not here." "Well, we won't starve," said Mr. What's-his-name. "We can always fish." "Fancy eating fish? And nothing but fish always," said Joe, making a face. When I think of all those lovely things that Bessie wished for and nobody there to eat them now, really, I could cry. Fanny had something in her hand and she looked down to see what it was. It was a piece of birthday cake. Good, she could eat it. At any rate, she could enjoy it. And she lifted up the delicious cake to her mouth and took a nibble. "What are you eating?" said Moonface, bending over to see. "Just a bit of birthday cake," said Fanny, cramming all of it into her mouth. "Don't eat it! Don't swallow it!" said Moonface, dancing around as if he'd gone mad. "Stop! Don't swallow!" Fanny stared at him in astonishment. So did everyone else. "What's gone wrong with Moonface?" asked Silkie anxiously. Well, Fanny just stood there with her mouth full of birthday cake, looking in amazement at Moonface. "What's the matter?" she said with her mouth full. "You've got a bit of wishing cake in your mouth," shouted Moonface, hopping about on one leg and then the other. "Wish, you silly girl, wish!" "What shall I wish?" said Fanny. "Wish us back to the land of birthdays, of course," yelled everyone in excitement. "Oh," said Fanny, "I didn't think of that. I wish we were all back in the land of birthdays, eating our tea." Darkness fell around everyone very suddenly. No wind came this time. Moonface put his hand and shook Silkie's. "What's happening?" Then daylight came back again and everyone gave a shout of surprise and delight. They were back in the land of birthdays. Yes, there was like the table of food in front of them and more chairs to sit on and the same delicious food as before. "Oh, good, good, good," shouted everyone and sat down at once. They beamed at one another, very thankful to be back from the little lost island. "What a strange little quick adventure," said Joe, helping himself to a large piece of wishing cake. "Please be careful what you wish for, everyone. We don't want any more adventures like that in the middle of our party." "I wish that my wings could fly," said Bessie as she munched her cake, and at once her silver wings spread themselves out and she rose up into the air like a big butterfly flying beautifully. Oh, it was the loveliest feeling in the world. Look at me, she cried, and everyone looked. And Fanny called out to her, "Don't fly too far, Bessie. Don't fly too far." Bessie soon flew down to the table again, her cheeks red with excitement and joy. This was the loveliest birthday party she had ever had. Everyone wished their wishes, except old saucepanman, who had already wasted his. Fanny too. She wished her wish when she was on the little lost island. But when she knew, she looked upset because she'd lost her wish. Moonface whispered to her, "Don't be upset. Tell me what you really wanted to wish and I'll wish it for you. I haven't had my wish. I don't need it for myself." "Oh," she said, "Moonface, you're very kind. Well, if you really mean it, I did want a doll that could walk and talk." "Easy," said Moonface at once. "I wish that Fanny had a doll that walks and talks." And at that very moment, Silkie cried out in wonder and pointed behind her. Everyone looked. Coming along on small plump legs was a doll, beautifully dressed in blue with a big bag in its hand. It walked straight up to Fanny and looked up to her. "Are you my mummy?" said the tiny little doll voice. "Oh, you lovely, beautiful doll," she cried in the greatest delight, and she lifted her up onto her knee. It cuddled up to her and said, "I belong to you. I am I am your own doll, and my name is Perenelle." "What a sweet name," she said, hugging her doll. "What have you got in that bag, Perenelle?" "All my other clothes," said the doll, and opened her bag, and inside were night dresses, a dressing gown, a coat, a mackintosh, overalls, dresses, and all kinds of other clothes. So Fanny was simply delighted. "Oh, how I shall love dressing you up and taking you out with me wherever I go," she said. "What did you wish for, Joe?" said Bessie. Joe was looking all around and about, as if he expected something to arrive at any moment. "I wished for a pony of my own," said Joe. "Oh, look, here it comes. What a beauty!" A little black pony with a white mark on its forehead and 4 white feet came trotting up to the party. It went straight to Joe and nuzzled in gently with its nose. "My own pony!" cried the little boy in delight. "My very own! Let me ride you. I shall call you Blackie." He jumped on the pony's back, and together they went galloping around the land of birthdays. Oh, there was nobody happier than Joe in the whole world at that moment. "Now let's play games," shouted Moonface. And as soon as he said that, a tea table vanished and music began to play. Musical chairs," shouted Silkie, as the chairs suddenly put themselves together in a long row. "Come on, everybody,"